Hello, welcome to Grip My Tutorials. This is your favorite tutor Khodiso, and in this part number drum roll part number 8. Uh, we're gonna be looking at your generics, your generic types, but in this case, I'm gonna be implementing an interface and I'm gonna be making it a generic type. So since we have been doing and we have been busy with the advanced data structures, I'm gonna be implementing them in my codes for so long. So now to do this, let me think of an example which I can work on. Let me work on Elena. Let me work on Elena. That is should be Elena app. That is the application that we're gonna be looking at. Okay. It's okay. Since we are dealing with the Learner app, I'm gonna come here to the Learner app and then I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna say Java class. I'm gonna create a learner. So, but since I want to deal with generics, what I wanna do is I wanna come here and I wanna show you the definition of a generic. So just open the search engine. Okay. Generic Java meaning. But even if it's just a standard meaning, we have generic types in almost all of the. Okay. So in this case, it says the generic is a programming style that computes programming in which algorithms are written in terms of data types of a specific latter that then in later sorry about that, later that are then instantiated when needed for a specific type. So remember what we were doing all along, which is your array lists and all of those. That is what a generic is actually is. Those brackets, wherever you specify the data type inside there, that is what a generic is. So you are declaring it as an interface. And whenever you want to use it, then you'll just specify the data type inside of that. Whether is it you just write your code in terms of generics. So now I'm gonna have a math learner. So I'm gonna say www.abc school.com. That finish with com. So school.www. So that is what I'm gonna have. So I'm gonna have a math learner, and I'm also going to have a science learner. Learner. That's the only two that I'm gonna be having. So they're gonna be sharing. Okay, so let's say this has got a private string, which is the name. The private string Elena has got the surname. We're having a private string age, private int mark. So that is what we're gonna be having. So and then I'm gonna right click, insert code. Then I'm gonna go to constructor. I'm gonna create a parameterized constructor. And then I'm gonna create getters and setters methods. Select all, generate all the getters and setters methods. And I'm gonna be doing a toString method. Generate the toString method. And now let the learner who's doing maths share the same with the science learner. Why? Because they are both learners in the same school. Mark, and then but here, let's say we are having a private string. Let's have a char. Let's have a kind of a badge. Or let's have a kind of a badge, or what can we have? Group. Let's have a group that we're gonna specify them group A, B, C in terms of how good they are in science. And then we're gonna right click, insert code. That is the only difference between the two learners. So then I'm gonna generate here a parameterized constructor. Then I'm gonna right click. Then I'm going to insert getters and setters methods. Select all, generate, and we're going to be having a toString method. Insert code, toString method, generate, and okay. Now, since we are having this, what I'm gonna be doing now is then that I'm going to have an interface. That is the interface that it's gonna be generic. Why? I want these two classes, which is the math learner and the science learner, to share a single interface. So how do I do that? By introducing what we call generics. So I'm going to write my interface using types. So you say interface, and then I'm going to say manager, because I'll later have a manager class. So I'll say manager ER interface, and there we go. So that is an interface. So now to show that this interface is generic, you're going to show it by those brackets, and then you're going to have a capital letter T inside there to show that this is generic. So for every place where it is the type of the data type of the object, you're going to be using a T. So now let's say we're having one method here. We're going to say public. I've worked on interfaces in object-oriented programming. If you're having a problem with that, check on under the playlist which I'm having in my homepage of this channel. You will see under object-oriented programming, you will see one of the topics which is speaking on interfaces. And then, okay, so now I'm going to say public, and then I'm going to say void, and then I'll say add learner. No, it's supposed to be one thing. I don't know why I'm rushing. So is add learner. So we're going to add a learner into a data structure. We're going to store them inside the data structure. So what I'm going to be needing here, I'm going to be needing the data type, whether it's going to be a math learner or a science learner. And I'm also going to be needing an object so I can show it like that. So I'm not going to do any exception handling. I'm going to do a separate exercise or example, which is going to include everything that we've been doing since from basic programming, and then I'm going to be incorporating them together with this. So let me skip the exception handling part. So I'm going to say public. And then we're going to say we were going to need T to be returned. We're going to say get learner. And but inside the, we would want to use their name. So we're going to say string name. We're going to search them using their name. So let's see if that should be sufficient, or we can have a get all. We can say public, and then we can say we want to store them inside an array list. Let's be standard. And then the data type should be T here. That is what we would want to get back. And get all learners. Okay, so to get all the learners, we don't want to get a specific learner, but we want to get all of them. So you see, every place where a data type has to be has to be written, we're going to represent it with this letter. Why? Because it's generic, so it must be able to take different data types. It must be able to be a science learner, and it must also be able to be a math learner. So now we are going to do, since that is generic, now I'm going to show you how you implement it. So we're going to have a math learner manager class. So upon us having a math learner manager class, we're going to say that this it implements a manager interface, but inside here we're going to specify the data type. So the data type that it must specify, we're going to specify that it must be a math learner. So that we can do, and then now what this means is that it will pass the data type of the object, which is math learner, where to here, so that in here it must have a math learner, and we'll know that even the object that sits here must be an object of data type math learner. It must return a math learner here, and it must also return an array list, which is going to be storing a math learner. So now we're going to implement all abstract methods. So the beauty of this is that in order for us to change this to be a science learner, you will just have to come back here to the manager and change here and write that science learner so that it can be able to send the relevant data type where to the interface. So that is what generic is. So generic is going to help us that every time we want to use that interface, we just specify which data type are we actually dealing with. All right. So now we're going to be having this as that, and then okay, we're gonna remove that. So, but before we can do anything here, let's have a private array list, which is gonna store in what? A math learner array list of objects. So our objects, we're gonna store them inside a data structure, which is array list. So we're gonna call this learners, and then we assign this to a new. So we fully declare an empty. All right. So, but let me not specify it as an array list. Let me put it under a list. And then here I'm going to say array list. That should be sufficient. And after that, I will need to import java.util. Let me just put in a star here. So, which means all from. Okay. So once I have this, that is where I'm going to store everything. Then I need a constructor, a default, I will need a default constructor. So I'll say insert code constructor. And there we go. I have a default constructor. There we go. So in here, so yeah, I'm gonna have ML, which is math learner. That is the object that is gonna be coming from the front end class. So now what I want to do is that I would want to just add that to the array list. So I'm going to say learners dot add. Remember, that's how you add into an array list. So I'm going to add ML, which is the math learner. So for me to get a learner, let me remove all of this. Okay. So for me to get a learner, I will need to say math learner. Okay, let me see. Learner. So I'll need to have a for loop. Let's use an advanced for loop. So I'm gonna say for, then the data type that we're supposed to be having here, it's math learner. And what are we gonna do here? We're gonna give it the data. And then what is the name of the learners? That is the advanced for loop. So we're gonna say if data dot get name, if the name of the learner who's stored inside there is equivalent to the name that we are passing as an argument here, it means that's the specific learner that we'll be looking for. Then we can then say that the learner is assigned to data, the one who stored specifically there. So, but in this case, let's make learner to be null. That is allowed, meaning that the learner is not going to be inside. Then afterwards, we'll return, because learner will then be updated. Then we'll say return the learner that we're looking for. So here we're just checking with an if statement. It's gonna loop through. Every time it loops, it's gonna check if it's equivalent. This is not gonna work. The equals, it's not gonna work because we are dealing with strings here. So let me use this. Say dot equals. So if you use dot equals ignore case, it means even if a person makes a mistake and puts a different capital letter or a small letter, it's still going to be able to find it. So that's basically what we are trying to do. So now here, to return, to get all of the learners will be stored into that data structure, we just want to simply return learners. It's okay. Now, since we are done with this, we can quickly go to the main class. Let's try it with the math learner. It's okay. So let's first check, what does a math learner have? A name, a surname, an age, and a mark. So I'm going to create a math learner. So that's what I'm gonna do here. And then I'm gonna import up there. And then what I'm gonna be doing is that after when I've imported and I want to do a scanner, so sc new scanner system.in, we're supposed to be using graphical user interfaces, but I'll introduce them, it's fine. Let's stick to the old way of doing things. Input new scanner. System.in. Okay. And we import. Okay. So now after this, I'm gonna prompt user input. So for me to prompt user input, I'm gonna say system.out. I'm gonna say please enter the name of the learner. Okay. I don't want to use the ln. So here we're gonna have a string name. We're gonna have a surname. We're gonna have let's come back here a little bit and check. So his name, surname, age. Age was supposed to be an integer. Yeah, guys, I made a terrible mistake. It happens sometimes. Its age is an integer. Age is not a string. It must show you that it returns an int. And inside here, it must be an int here. Age is a number. It's an int. So it's int age, int mark. Also for a science learner, it's supposed to change, but let us deal with this one because that's what we are dealing with. So now the generic has been done in the back end. Now, since we are in the front end, I'm gonna have an int age. I'm also going to have a mark for the test. So and then yeah, I'm gonna say name is sc the next line. Okay. System.out.print. I'm gonna say please enter your surname. Okay. So we're gonna say surname is assigned to sc.next line. Please your age. Okay. So we're going to say your age is assigned to input because this is now a number. Non-numbers inputs and numbers inputs must be separated into different scanners. So say please your test mark. So down here, you're going to see mark is then input dot next int. There we go. So upon doing that, then we should be able to create the math learner. So even if it's the first one, we can say math learner 1. Here we can say math learner 1 is assigned to ML1, standing for math learner number 1, which is the object which is assigned to new math learner. Here's gonna be the name, surname, the age, and the mark. So once you are able to do that, so then now, in order for us to add them into the data structure, we need to quickly come back here to the manager. Okay, here it says that a list cannot be. Oh yeah, it's supposed to be list. Okay. Yeah, we're supposed to have it as a list here. That is all that we're doing. And then we just have to input. Let's just put in a star here. I just need to remove this stuff. Fine. Okay, now everything should be fine. Okay, now we are then going to use the manager. So here we're going to say up here, we're gonna have to have a math learner manager. So we're gonna have a math learner manager, MLM for math learner manager. So now math learner manager is imported. So now when we get here, what's happening here is that in order for us to add the learner, we're gonna say MLM dot add learner, and then we're gonna add the first. Okay. Math learner manager. Okay. Let's check if our manager class isn't made an abstract. It's just a public class that implements. Okay. Oh, it says that it has not been initialized. Okay, yeah, that is standard. It simply makes sense. So here we need to initialize this to math learner managing to default constructor. So this is going to add the learner. So to get you'll say MLM dot get learner. You'll specify their name inside there. The learner that we're going to be looking for, let's say we're looking for a favorite tutor, which is Khodiso. But that must then be assigned to as a learner. So here we must have a math as a learner here. So here we're going to assign the learner so that we can be able to use that to display. So since this is standard, I'm not gonna do methods. I'm gonna keep that for those special exercises. I just want you to understand the concept of generics. That's all. I'm gonna do everything here. So and then I'm gonna display the learner here. What I'm doing here is not fully advanced programming. System out the learner. We are for is, then we go to the new line. We say name dot get name. Then we're gonna see set name learner dot get name new line, and you see age learner dot get age new line. Then we're going to say mark learner dot get mark. Okay. So now that is what I'm gonna do so far. So let's run this. I don't have proper spacing here and stuff, but it's fine. Please enter the name of the learner. It's Khodiso. Please enter the surname is Mashile. Please enter the age 25. Please enter the mark. Let's say it's one of those students who really enjoy what they're doing. So you see now, it's able to say that the learner you're looking for, the name is Khodiso, their surname is Mashile, their age is 25, and their mark is 90%. So it means that it's able to store into the manager and it's able to retrieve from the manager. So what I'm gonna be doing is that I'm gonna be doing another part in the near future, which is going to be an exercise, but is going to be implementing both of this. So look out for that upload for you to get the full exercise, which is going to be including everything, which is your exception handling and all of these other concepts in one place. So that is it from me for this episode. I just wanted you to understand how do you write a generic interface and how do you then implement it and run the code. And that is it from me for today. Till the next time we drop. Uh, Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And cheers.